I'm thinking about breaking into the motel game. Forget about off the plan, apartments, townhouses, houses. I'm thinking a little bit bigger. Let's look at motels where we've got 10, 20, 30 plus bedrooms that are available for rent. Now, I've been planning on making this video for a while, more to have a chat with you guys about our plans to potentially buy a motel down the track, why we think it could be a good option for us, and what some of the negatives might be about buying a motel. Now, the reason is I want to put this out here into the YouTube universe and have a chat about what our plans are and why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. Our plans will change over time as we look to do a raise and build this year in 2023, which is very exciting, and we look to continue to grow our investment portfolio. Plans are forever changing, but one of the long-term visions that I've always had is about starting a motel chain. Now, why motels, you might ask? Why not hotels or just Airbnb? And those are both other options. Probably not the hotel option because you might need $5 million plus of capital, but maybe the Airbnb fits into this motel space. Now, the two key options I'm looking at are a major regional motel, say between a $1.5 and $5 million mark, or an Airbnb that's along the coastline in a select location between, say, $700,000 and $2 million. Now, with an Airbnb or a motel by that case, I don't want to get lost in the gross numbers, and we need to always look at net profit. Compare the net profit of your investment properties to the net profit of potentially running a business like an Airbnb or a motel. So why am I thinking of starting an Airbnb/motel in the next 5 to 10 years? And what are our plans to actually get there? Now, I'm not saying this is actually going to happen, but here's the thinking and here's my process as to going for these goals. So maybe we look at buying an Airbnb first before actually getting into the motel game. Emily and I stayed at a hotel in Launceston called Change, and it was a really interesting setup. It was a self-check-in hotel, and that's where you had keypads on the doors, you had instant messaging, and the hotel was set up and really managed by just the cleaners. The rooms are only serviced every 3 days or so, and this really got my brain ticking over while we were on our Tasmanian holiday about the opportunity for Emily and I to break into this space. Now, we could go big like a motel, and I have been looking at 20 to 25 bed motels or one bedders, and I really like that idea. But let's break down the Airbnb option first. Now, for the Airbnb, we could look at the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast, or Northern New South Wales. The key thing here for me is buying scarcity. So I really like north-facing beaches or north locations. I really like opportunities where it's a small block if we're looking at apartments, and I don't want to be in towers of apartments. I also want value-add opportunity. So if we were to say buy a apartment on the Gold Coast, let's just use Palm Beach as an example. Say we wanted to buy a apartment on the Gold Coast, walking distance to the water for under $1 million or at $1 million. So we're putting $1 million in to buy this apartment. Now, I would want to be generating at least a 10% gross return because there's going to be more expenses associated with running an Airbnb. You've got the cleaning fees, the rates, the water, the electricity, the internet. You know, it adds up quite quickly, and you're going to need a larger maintenance budget. So maybe to dip our toe in, Emily and I have been thinking about buying an Airbnb in the next few years. The idea would be to create this self-check-in model. Now, it's been done before. This is not a new idea. I'm not saying that this is my proprietary knowledge. I'm just having a chat with you guys about what I'm thinking and how I would structure this to work for Emily and I as a business model. Now, I've actually helped my mum set up an Airbnb on a coastal location, and she runs that Airbnb herself quite successfully now. And so learning from their findings and mistakes and helping them set up their Airbnb, set up their website, get their reviews and find the right price points, this has given me a real experience and look in as to how I would want to run my own Airbnb and expand that to running my own motel. So that would be exactly what we'd look to do on the coast. We're ideally probably looking at the Gold Coast because I think there's great potential there, or even northern New South Wales. There's some sleepy towns where you could pick up an old house or an old apartment, add value to it, create an experience, and then rent out for profit. And that's exactly what we've been trying to do. We will be looking to create some uniqueness in the property, whether it's by design, whether it's by location. We want that mix of creativity to create an experience for people. That's what I think locals and internationals are looking for when they come down to the coastline and stay in a location. People are looking for an experience. And so when it comes to running an Airbnb, that's where I think the experience is very pivotal. Now let's expand this to the chat around the motel game. So with the motel, we would need to fund that with a 30% deposit rather than, say, a 20% deposit. So say we're buying a $3 million motel, we might need $1.2, $1.4 million to buy a $3 million property. Now that is a lot of money, but the way we can raise that money is through our current property portfolio. So we're essentially taking our resi portfolio and then moving to more of a commercial asset or a business space. Now, the reason I'm not looking at industrial or offices as a commercial investment and rather looking at the motel game is because I'm interested in running that business. And what you're passionate about will help you lead into the area of success. So I'm passionate about helping people buy property here in Southeast Queensland, whether it's their own home and they're looking not to overpay and find the right opportunity, or whether it's an investment property that people have to run the numbers and want to do their level of due diligence on. I'm passionate about helping people secure a property here in Brisbane because that's where I'm based and that's where I have the local knowledge and competitive advantage. So when it comes to the motel game, I can see Emily and I having a competitive advantage based on our previous experiences, based on our cosmetic renovations, based on my accounting background and finance knowledge, and based on us being able to secure a good deal at the right price. So I've been looking around, Australia, it's a bit more broad with the motel. It doesn't necessarily have to be Southeast Queensland or Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast. It could be as far as far north Queensland. It could be well into New South Wales, down towards Sydney. It comes down to finding the right opportunity at the right price point. Now, I have been exploring this in detail and looking at some opportunities, but I haven't seriously been looking at making any offers at this point in time. Again, this video is very preemptive about buying a motel and probably preemptive on buying an Airbnb. Emily and I have a lot going on at the moment. We've got a flip project, which we're working on Brisbane's north side, and that series is going to be out here on YouTube in the next few months. We also have our raise and build this year in 2023. Now, there's some really exciting news is that we've locked in a start date in August this year. And so we're going to be starting the raise and build and documenting the entire journey and all of the costs and work involved in taking on that project. So this video was a great way for me to basically give you guys a brain dump of information as to what I'm thinking around those positive cash flow opportunities and business-like opportunities, whether it's an Airbnb or a motel or both. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, obviously the risks associated with these are much higher because you've got more capital involved, you've got more turnover, you've got higher premiums and insurance. And so you need to weigh all of that up. But for me, it comes back to that net return and looking at where your skill set lies. For me, I think my skill set is there in terms of the renovations, the management, the finances, and that's why I'm looking at these opportunities. But for others, this might be too much work or too much involved, or it might not be the right type of deal that you're interested in. So for me, all of those things are aligned, and that's why I'm seriously looking at these opportunities in the next, say, 3, 5, 10 years plus. Now, I don't know whether this is actually going to happen, but that's why I wanted to have the discussion with you guys today. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below around what you think of motels and Airbnbs and those types of opportunities. And are you looking at any of these types of deals yourself? Otherwise, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're going to be dropping our renovation flip series in the next few months. And we're going to be starting our raise and build project later this year. Now, if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about my story, click this video over here where I break down heading from zero to millionaire by 27 years old. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.